15 things money can't buy. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, good to have you with us for a special Sunday video. This is unlike any other video you've seen or article you've read on the topic, and we're sure that by the end of the video, you'll have a new outlook on life. At least that's our goal today. We've been meaning to do this video for a while now, and the truth is, there are very few things money can't buy. Believe us, it was an actual struggle to come up with these 15 things. This is mostly because we wanted to go a bit deeper than what you'll find on existing videos, articles, or books. People love to throw around the idea that money can't buy certain things. But if you really boil it down, money can get it for you, or at least get you as close to it as possible so you can get it yourself. We've spent hours upon hours in research finding incredibly dull lists that were easily disproved, so we had to look even deeper within ourselves to create a list that we can stand behind. The truth is, most of the things we'll be mentioning here are byproducts of experiences, and money can buy experiences. So be very careful when someone says money can't buy something, because it might not be true. Yet we're proud to say that we've figured out a few things that nobody else seems to mention. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. To the best of our ability, here are 15 things money can't buy directly. Number 1, a purpose. Very few people have a purpose in life, with most just cruising through life like a stick that floats on water moved by the current. A purpose is the answer to one of the deepest questions a human can ask themselves. Why am I alive? Why am I here? The beauty is that you can have a purpose even if you're rich or poor, because it doesn't depend on your financial situation. Having a purpose in life is totally free. With that said, we'd like to mention it is better to have money once you have a purpose than to be a poor person with a purpose, because most of the time you'll need tools to make it happen. Find your purpose, Aluxers. Look deep within yourselves and find it. Life will make sense afterwards. Number 2, true friendship. Real friendship is another one of those things that's available to both rich and poor. But to our surprise, it's a lot more difficult to find a real friend when you're rich than when you're poor. True friendship comes from the idea that someone is willing to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of the other. One of the traits that predicts success in life is one's ability to prioritize their own self over those around them, which clashes with the deep meaning of true friendship. This doesn't mean that rich people can't have true friends, but when evaluating someone, they need to take into account ulterior motives that do not factor in when you're poor. Number 3, a home. Money can buy you a house, but it certainly can't buy you a home. A home comes with a deep sense of belonging. The reason why money can't buy you a home is that a home is not a material thing, and it isn't an experience either. It's something incredibly strange. To the best of our understanding, a home is a state of mind shared with the people you most care about, while being around each other in a place that has a large amount of sentimental value invested in it. You build your home by living, by being happy, by being sad, and over time, places start to feel like home. Number 4, a better past. This is one of those weird paradoxes where you can buy an amazing present for someone else, which will eventually turn into an amazing past, but one cannot do it for themselves. Please take a minute to think about this. You can actively create amazing pasts for one another, but you cannot do it retroactively upon yourself. One needs to live with the past they've had up to the point they decide to live a better present. When we built Alux, we wanted a place where people would be inspired by the finer things life has to offer, to the point that they would decide for themselves to live a better life than they would have otherwise. We really hope that after this video ends, you'll decide to live a better present, because at some point in your future, this will be your past, and you will have wished that you would have experienced life more. Number 5, happiness. Let's get this out of the way. Money doesn't buy happiness. Money buys pleasure. In order for a person to reach their maximum potential, they should be able to carefully differentiate between happiness and pleasure, because they aren't the same thing, yet so many people confuse them. Pleasure is achievable through substances and behaviors, while happiness is experienced through interpersonal connection, through your ability to cope with the world around you. While most people seek pleasure and try to avoid pain, happiness doesn't come from external sources, but from internal ones. Happiness is experienced subjectively different, but if we were to try to generalize, happiness is when your expectations match your reality based on things you have no control over. Happiness is available in the same amount to both rich and poor. The difference is the rich afford to purchase pleasure in larger amounts than the poor do. If you're struggling with happiness, a while back we did an incredible video called 15 Reasons Why You're Not Happy, which we strongly recommend you watch. You can do so by clicking in the top right corner. It'll make you think about happiness in a way you never have before. Number 6. Real trust. People don't trust other people by default. In order for us to trust each other, we have to share multiple communalities. Again, like many things we've mentioned on this list, trust isn't something tangible or something you can accurately pinpoint, because the real meaning of trust changes depending on the circumstances. Even in nature, a gazelle doesn't trust a lion by default, no matter how successful the lion is at being a lion. Lions don't trust other lions that might try to overtake their position in order to mate with the lioness. But sometimes lions do trust other lions. This happens when an outcome cannot be achieved without the cooperation of all parties. For example, when they're hunting large game. Trust is the expectation that someone else will behave in a particular way in order to generate a positive return for you. We didn't use the lions example by accident. Think of lions and how they behave. If animals are capable of cooperation and betrayal in order to further their own agenda, think of what people are willing to do, since we're capable of much more complex strategies. Number 7. Inner peace. What is inner peace, and how do you get it anyway? We checked the most common resources, and they say it is the deliberate state of psychological or spiritual calm, despite the potential presence of stressors. Which basically translates to keeping it cool even if it isn't all rainbows and sunshine in your life. After a couple of hours of digging into the subject alone and consulting with our inner circle, we define inner peace as the state of emotional equilibrium, where you've made peace with your past, you live in the present, and you have a good grasp of what's ahead of you. You understand your reality, and you don't let it control you. The beautiful thing is, once again, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Inner peace is equally achievable by both parties. It's something you need to take care of, yourself. The choices you've made, the mistakes you've made, you're the one who needs to forgive yourself and strive to be better. We truly hope that more of you will take time to reflect, whether or not you're at peace with yourself. You are your greatest asset, and once you understand yourself, you're going to have a huge advantage in life. Number 8. True loyalty. It is so hard to find loyal people that it almost seems unreal when you do. Loyalty is a weird beast. A beast that you don't tame nor have any control over, but because it decides so, it will help you achieve your goals. Loyalty is hard to come by, no matter your financial status. The poor aren't loyal because they want to stop being poor, and the rich are willing to sacrifice loyalty in order to become more rich. Remember what we discussed earlier about the lions? This works on a layer on top of that. Partial loyalty can be purchased, but it comes at an expense. For example, you pay your lawyer really well to protect you versus protecting your competitor. As long as the pipe is flowing, you have partial loyalty. We call it partial because you need to trade for it. The moment the pipe stops flowing, that perceived loyalty is gone. True loyalty is when somebody is willing to protect you without anything in exchange. Not even dogs are truly loyal, and we love dogs. Number 9. More time with those who have passed away. We found it odd that on the thousands of lists all over the internet, there was nobody mentioning this one. It doesn't matter how rich you are, you can't add time to those whose time has already ended. It's one of those things that puts life into perspective. Be grateful for the people you have around you. Be grateful for your parents that struggle to get you to the position you are in today, no matter what that position is. Be grateful and make sure they know it. It's not going to be long, and the day will come where they're no longer going to be around, and you'd only have wished you had a few more hours left with them. Remember this the next time you think you're too busy to show the people you care about most how much they mean to you. You only have a small window of time in this life to show them how important they are to you. Hey Luxers, don't let that time slip away. Number 10, the love of someone who doesn't love you. This is a tricky one because poor people love to throw around that money doesn't buy love. Well, neither does being poor. It's their form of saying that we're all the same despite the difference in our bank accounts. The truth is, that is false. Get ready, Aluxers, because this is about to change your world. Money can buy love, but not the love of someone who is not open to loving you. Now let's dive a little bit into how money can buy love, because we know you guys freaked out when we said that. What makes a person fall in love with someone else? There are multiple factors out there, which most common are a sense of similarity, familiarity with the other person, which builds trust, desirable characteristics, as well as social influence and filling one's needs. Money can play a major role in offering someone the security to be true to self and a pathway to fulfilling their desires and potential, which floods the brain with the right chemicals to fall in love. Give that relationship time to blossom, and you've got yourself the perfect garden of ingredients for a loving relationship, as long as the two candidates check a minimum amount of boxes and are willing to evolve together. Money is an accelerator for love. Think of money as gasoline, and those basic instincts as flaming tinder. The problem is, where there isn't that initial flame, it doesn't matter how much gasoline you pour on it. It's not going to start the fire without a spark. Number 11, the truth. Truth is difficult as well, because there are multiple forms of truth. Many people think that their truth is the real truth, and everybody else is sharing around a false truth. Just take a look at religion. People are even willing to slaughter each other because they're willing to defend a story which might not even be real, only because they believe it is. The actual real truth always comes from what in science we call first principles, which dives as deep as possible to the core of facts, to where there's no more room for debate. Truth cannot be purchased because it isn't something you can own. It's just something you can observe. What you can purchase is the version of the truth that best fits your agenda. People will accept it as the universal truth and unknowingly will aid you in your conquest. Always question what you think are truths, because truth is always changing as new information, which was previously unavailable, surfaces. Your ability to understand new truths and adjust your course of action depending on them will leverage life to your advantage. And if you don't, you'll simply get left behind. Number 12, the ability to not feel pain, or any emotion for that matter. The poor and the rich might live different lives, might face different struggles, but at least up to this point, our biology is still the same. The rich have yet to find ways to augment it. When someone you love dies, the pain you feel is authentic and unrelated to the color of your credit card. The pain a poor man feels when he's fired from a factory because he's being replaced by a robot is the same as the one a rich trader feels when AI is taking his job. They're both experiencing the same feeling of uncertainty about the future, about how to best protect their families, and it will keep them both up at night. Empathy and feelings in general have evolved in Homo sapiens as a survival instinct when we had to fight for our lives. Today, those same feelings are starting to make us uncompetitive in the marketplace, and a lot of money is being poured into the industry, so it might not be long until we have to cut this one off the list. But until then, it's true. Number 13, a meaningful apology. Of course, you can consult people to apologize using money. You can even use that money to buy yourself what you believe to be justice. But there are a couple of nuanced things that money can't buy in this department. One of them is a meaningful apology. An apology that comes from the heart, where the one addressing it has truly accepted and understood the harm he or she has caused you, and emotionally and intellectually regrets doing so. Be careful of those you have around you, Aluxers, because people no longer value words. A lot of them will do anything and say anything just to get one step ahead. This is a muscle you can train throughout the years, and if you do, you'll always have an edge against someone who's trying to play you. Number 14, forgiveness. This one goes hand in hand with the previous one. There are several types of harm one can cause to another which cannot be forgiven. Of course, you can be forgiven for breaking someone's TV by buying them a new one, but that's not what we're talking about here, and we think you know it. No matter how much money you have, you won't be able to buy someone's forgiveness for damage so deep that can never be returned to the original state. This should make you a lot more careful with your actions. As an Aluxer, in life you will achieve success and power, but yield it carefully, because sometimes the damage inflicted onto others is reflected back onto you, and you have to live with that. Number 15. Eternal life. At least, not yet. Mortality. This crucial commonality shared by all social statuses. For millennia, this has been the cherry on top when it comes to the satisfaction of the poor. That no matter the life you lead, no matter how rich you are, you're facing the same destination as everyone else: death. Money can't buy you eternal life. The ultimate proof of that is we're all basically the same at our core. Unfortunately for the poor, it's about to change, and it's going to happen in a not-so-distant future. 100 years ago, the average life expectancy at birth was around 31 years. This might sound unbelievable, but it's true. In the last 100 years, we've seen a 150% increase in life expectancy, and technology is approaching a point where the increase will no longer be linear, but exponential. We are on the verge of immortality. We're currently working on 3D printing organs, creating artificial bodies, and trying to understand how consciousness works so we can transfer it from our biological brain into an artificial one. As we've seen with all technologies, at first they're extremely expensive, and who's got the money to afford it? The rich do. By the time your kids will reach your current age, the first person to live forever would have already been born. Once that happens, we can clear number 15 off this list as well. We know this has been a roller coaster of a video, and we hope you've been taking notes. Otherwise, we recommend you go through this list one more time. And we're curious to know, what other things do you believe money can't buy? Leave your suggestions in the comments. Now, we've got a really smart community behind Alux, so if you see someone commenting things like wisdom or talent, please correct them by letting them know that you can rent such skills, or have a professional accelerate your learning curve in that department. Now, as a thank you for watching with us all the way to the end, we have an extra one for you. Number 16. Surprisingly, money can't buy you street smarts. Street smarts are about one's ability to develop and use intuition, along with a quick decision process to get an edge over someone else. Ironically, it isn't something you can buy with money, but you can develop it on your journey to making money. An interesting thing to consider is that, while the father who acquired the fortune from scratch could show strong street smart skills, his child, who's been born directly into wealth, could be outmaneuvered by someone who's up and coming, based solely on the intuitions that come from grinding to make it happen. Use this to your advantage on your road to riches, Aluxers. If you've watched up to this point and believe you have what it takes, write "I am street smart" in the comments. We'll try to reply to as many as possible. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.